talk today about why all of these diets and all of these magic ways to lose weight are irritating the hell out of me and really removing the aspect of working hard in order to achieve a goal, which realistically is really what it's all about, because in order to achieve something you need to feel like you've worked, because if you've actually worked for it you'll be more willing to keep it. So people go on these diets. Let's take Slimming World for example. They may go on Slimming World and they may lose a hell of a load of weight. I've seen stories where people have lost about 15 stone, so hundreds of pounds, and the problem is they lose the weight and they lose it so quickly, but then they struggle to keep it off once they come off the Slimming World diet, or maybe they then decide to move on to a different way of eating. And of course that's totally the whole point of it, because they go on the diet in order to lose the weight, and once they've lost the weight they don't feel like they need it anymore. But often people end up putting on even more weight than when they started, because they don't know the fundamental ways in order to keep the weight off, because they haven't educated themselves in a way in order to know how to stay in shape and stay active and stay actually properly healthy. When you're on these diets, they're just a quick fix and they're not necessarily a long-term thing. Now, Slimming World calls indulgent treats sins. This isn't something that you should be teaching somebody who is on a diet. Think of all of the negative things that are going to happen with this. Eating disorders are going to be roused through this, because if people start thinking that a Freddo chocolate bar is a sin, what has the world come to? They are tiny bars of chocolate, and if people are starting to think that they're sinning because they're having a tiny bar of chocolate, then that is just making people have such a disordered way of eating. No wonder the way after they come off the diet they put back on all the weight, because they think, oh, I've had one sin, so I may as well just sin all day long, and they end up binging. And this is the problem. People go on these crazy diets and they get their calories to a low level, and then they feel hungry because they want to just eat all the food all the time because their body is deprived of calories, and then they end up eating these calorie dense things because they haven't been educated on the way to keep the weight off in a healthy and sustainable way. So keeping weight off is just a habit-based thing, really. You just need to get your body into good habits and get your mind in a good place, because once your mind is in a good place, then you have the fundamental tool in order to remain in a healthy shape and an active lifestyle. Because if your mind is balanced and you understand that one Freddo chocolate bar isn't a sin, or whatever they call it, then you realise that you can have one or two and then stop, and you won't want to be having more and more and more, because in your head, as a person with a balanced mindset, you don't feel like it's a bad thing if you have this. You just understand that it's part of life to be consuming these things, because everybody likes to enjoy a piece of chocolate every now and then. It releases dopamine in your brain. It's going to make you happy. So personally, I think that the real big problem with these things is that they don't educate people to how to do it by themselves. And that's of course because it's a business, and because the business wants to be earning money. It's incredibly expensive to go on these diets, and the companies must just be absolutely loving it, because half of the people that go on them don't even use it. I have seen so many parents in particular who are on Slimming World and who are on Weight Watchers who just kind of sit there and laugh, being like, oh, I'm sinning right now. And they don't even care. They're paying this money to the company. The company is just loving it. The company's eating up the money for clients who don't even care about the weight that they want to lose. People go on this because they think that they're going to lose weight quickly, and they think that it's going to be easy because of the way that it's marketed. And of course the company's going to do that. They want to earn money. And Herbalife is another story. Herbalife is kind of a pyramid system, so the people at the top sell to another layer of people who sell to another layer of people. So basically everyone's trying to sell to everyone, and no one even knows what's in the products. I've had people try and sell it to me in the past who don't even know what's in it. There's sugar in these things, fructose, oils in some powder. I don't even know. Half of the products I've never even heard of, so I would honestly never put them in my body. People who try to sell Herbalife to me, I just laugh in their face. It is a load of nonsense. So honestly, I don't even know where to start with Herbalife, because really, you just need to fuel your body with things which are going to make you feel good, and eating powders all day is not going to make you feel good. It's a bit like Slim Fast shakes. You can't replace your food with shakes because yes, people lose weight on this, and that's the thing. People do get results, and they may get results quickly because if they're drinking shakes which have like 300 calories in each instead of meals, and then they're only having one meal a day, so they're having 2 shakes, which is like obviously going to be about 600 calories, and then 1 meal, so they're probably told to have a tiny meal, which is again about 300 calories. If they're eating under 1,000 calories a day, of course the average person is going to lose weight. So that's the thing, people lose this weight and they lose it quickly. Their carbs are incredibly restricted, so carbohydrates make your body hold water weight, so this water weight initially in the first week is going to be flushed out of the body, and that's why people see rapid results, because the water is lost from their body, not the fat. Maybe a tiny bit of fat, but that's because your body is in an extreme calorie deficit. Now, realistically, these people aren't going to be on these diets for the rest of their life. So one day they go off this diet again, then they're going to gain the weight back. My auntie did it herself, and my mum used to do the Slim Fast shakes back when I was younger, and she lost weight rapidly, but then she ended up putting on, I think it was about 14 pounds, so a whole stone more than what she lost, purely because it's just not a long-term and realistic thing. And the thing is, some people's lives are changed by these diets because these people then implement the habits that they've made through these diets, and they keep the weight off, and that's great for these people, and they have life-changing stories. So when I put out things like this, people are going to get angry about it because their heart is attached to this diet, this certain diet, because they have lost weight on it and it's really transformed their life, and that's great. Everyone's looking for the fastest way to lose weight. They're wanting to get healthy, but they just want to do it quickly and they don't want to have to put the work in order to get there. So negative consequences associated with all of these diets that are popping up everywhere. So let's take Slimming World for example. Slimming World tell you to eat as many sin-free foods as you like per day. So this includes things like grapes, rice, I can't even remember the rest. These things all contain calories, and pretty easily you can rack up a lot of calories through eating these things. Now, if someone told me that I could eat as many sin-free foods as I want in a day and I wouldn't gain any body fat whatsoever, well, I would just laugh in their face, because I would gain so much body fat. This girl can eat, and so can a lot of people out there, hence the fact that so many people in this world right now are overweight and obese. So realistically, this just isn't a good idea, because if you're telling people that they can eat however much they want, their progress is going to be seriously delayed. And then in turn, some foods such as the Freddo chocolate bar that I was talking about earlier is a sin. Now, why is this a sin when a whole 5,000 calorie load of grapes isn't? Someone can easily binge off that as they can on that. So, I mean, it's just ridiculous, and it's just getting people in the wrong mindset with food. You just need to have a balanced mindset with food. And let's not even forget all the myths in the industry, you know. I can't eat carbs after 6 p.m. Too much protein is bad for you. Fat is bad for you. Blah, 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 blah. All of these things. Okay, so they must have originated from somewhere. So let's think about this now. Common sense, we know that you can eat carbs after 6 p.m. and realistically it is totally fine. But if you are somebody who tends to eat a lot of food at night, like me, I could eat a lot of carbs after 6 p.m, this magical time. It's not. But anyway, so if you're someone who knows that you can eat a lot of carbs after 6 p.m, if you say to yourself that you can't eat carbs after 6 p.m. and your goal is fat loss, then realistically this will probably help you quite a bit, because that's a whole period of time where you're not going to be taking in calories from carbs where you used to would have been. So if you take away a whole food group from one meal, that will dramatically reduce the calories in the meal if you keep the other variables the same. So if you're still having all the other food the same. So say before you were having a piece of beef with some vegetables and some rice. If you take away the rice, that's going to remove about between 150 to 300 calories just from that meal. So that will help some people in that way. But it's become this whole big thing. I have had, honestly, hundreds of people from all age ranges, girls, guys, asking me if they can eat carbs after 6 p.m. just because it's become such a myth now in the world, and the media portray it in this way, and that's what they do. The media do this with everything. But the problem is, it's just not true. I eat probably about 2/3 of my carbs after this time just because I like to do that. But the problem is, when people get themselves into this restrictive mindset that they can never eat carbs after 6 p.m, it's just not a healthy balance with their mind. And I think that's the real issue with all these myths, you know, oh, I can't eat fat because it's bad for me. Oh, I can't eat carbs because they're bad for me. Oh, I can't eat carbs after 6 p.m. Oh, blah, 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 blah. All these things aren't a healthy way of looking at life. And it all just boils down to everything in moderation. And when I say everything, I really do mean absolutely everything. Except, you know, drugs and bad things like that, because that's just a no-no. But anyway, that's not what I'm talking about right now. So everything in moderation, and that is how you will get to achieve a balanced goal. Because you need to remember that these things are long term. And yes, you may lose weight quickly if you go on a slim, fast shake diet, but you won't keep it off in the long term. And it's been proven time and time again that the majority of people don't keep the weight off because they haven't educated themselves, and they haven't learned about calories, and they haven't learned about foods which are less calorie dense and foods which are more calorie dense, and healthy options to choose when they go out to eat, and healthy drinks to drink, and all of these things which are going to help them have the long-term weight loss and keeping off the weight. Because we don't just want the body fat to be lost, we want the body fat to be kept off for these people who are on this desperate path to lose the body fat. So that's how they can do it, by educating themselves and by learning what's calorie dense, what's not calorie dense, what's a healthy balance, how much protein they need, how many fats they need in their diet. At the end of the day, what matters is what works for you. And if Slimming World is working for you and you have the spare disposable income to pay, then fine. But the majority of the time, you are being absolutely ripped off if you're not using it, when you can simply just Google these things. And you can get a much better mindset, I guess, by following people who are showing balance and not showing extremely restrictive ways of eating and extremely low calories in their daily lives, because that is just not healthy, and that's just really, really bad for you guys. So I really hope this video has maybe opened your eyes in some way. And just think, if anything is an extreme, if there's a myth which sounds like it is pretty extreme, it's just probably a myth. And there may be a tiny scientific study or a tiny reasoning behind it, but remember, these things are extremely just over dramatized by the media, by the public, by people who have been touched by the diet, whose lives it has really genuinely changed. And these people want to share the fact that this diet has changed their lives. And yes, it's worked for them, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work for you. So I'm just going to leave that here with you guys now, and give this video a thumbs up if you've liked it, and go follow me on Instagram _LaurenFitness. See you later.